Hi, today I'm in Erlanger and we're here at Allie's Walkabout. We're going to hear the interesting story of the little girl who started the big business of Allie's Walkabout today on People of Northern Kentucky. Well, welcome to People of Northern Kentucky, David, Mary, and Allie.
Well, thank you
We're
for
so
having
glad
us.
to have you.
Thank you.
So first we'll start with David and Mary. So I'd like to know your history and where you're from originally.
Well, I'm a lifelong Northern Kentuckian. Grew up in Latonia, went to school at Holmes High School. So I've been here. I left as a young person. I couldn't wait to leave. And then we had Allie's older sister, Audrey. And then I can remember thinking, it wasn't a bad place to grow up.
I'm from Atlanta, born and raised.
All right. And we know you were born here.
Yeah, I've been here my whole life.
Your whole life.
Yep, been in the same home for 17 years.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
I see every one of you have Allie's Walkabout on your shirt here today. So I know the story, but a lot of people don't know the story of how Allie's Walkabout started. So Allie, can you tell me?
Yeah, so when I was 9, I was just looking to make some money, and so I asked my dad if he'd give me some spending money, and he said, I won't give you any spending money, but I'll teach you how to earn it. So I just thought of different things that I was passionate about and things that people would want to pay me for. And I loved animals, I still do, but it was just something that was like so cool to me, and I was just like, I can't believe anyone would want to pay me to do anything with their animals. So I started walking dogs, and it was like the best thing ever. And about 3 years later, the dogs that I was just walking turned into dogs that I started to babysit. And we started getting referrals from different people, and just so many people were starting to hear about us just from word of mouth. And that's when we created our website on that third year. It was just a free website, and we were getting hits off of that from Google somehow. And then from that, we grew even larger. And by year 7, we had created our allieswalkabout.com year 5, I think.
I think so. We weren't going to put any money in it because we thought the shine would wear off. It wouldn't be nearly as fun the busier and busier it got. But in year 3, in fact, I think she had saved, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 from the summer. And we're walking dogs at that point. That's why it's Allie's Walkabout. I mean, we're walking the dogs that are staying with us 3, 4, 5 times a day. And I was talking with Mary about it, and so we said, let's talk to Allie about her putting a fence in the backyard. And so we talked about capital improvements to your business and what that means. And I said, so if you put a fence in, it's probably going to cost you almost all your savings. And she immediately, at 12 years old, said, oh, but it'd be way worth it. Because then we wouldn't have to, it would make it so much easier, she said. And that's when I realized.
So much easier to have more dogs.
Yeah.
That was her forward thinking.
Now, were you on board with this, Mary, to have all these dogs? See Allie's shaking her head.
No. Well, in the beginning, it was, okay, we could do 6. And then he would take another 1 or 2 more.
Why am I in trouble?
And then it was, okay, we can do 8, and then we could do 10, and then
Push a little more.
just kept pushing until we had a bunch.
In fact, the last major holiday at the house, now we have a 1,500 square foot brick ranch with a full basement in Villa Hills. And our last big holiday at the house, we had 44.
Too many.
Yeah, we had 40 plus dogs in our home.
Goodness.
It was too many. But we knew we were on the edge of moving into the building, and we wanted that momentum to carry us into the building. Right. So we knew it would be hard, but we knew it was necessary to, as we moved into a much larger 12,000 square feet space, to carry that momentum with the dogs.
Okay, so at what point did y'all say capital improvements to the home, fence, getting more dogs, to we need this big, huge building? And this is a true business.
I think it was year 5 when we were just, I mean, we kind of had to shift our minds into knowing like that this is something that is growing in the economy, like that people are willing to pay for, and there's different things. It wasn't just babysitting at that point. It was like
Right.
Daycare. We started getting daycare clients, and then we, even though grooming wasn't our thing, we were still getting people to ask us to bathe their dogs. So,
Clip their nails.
yeah, now grooming is definitely our thing.
That's right.
We have 2 full-time groomers that are about 2 weeks out now to get an appointment. I mean, they're booked solid. We're training 2 people to come in behind them, and we'll probably have a full-time groomer, a 3rd full-time groomer by the fall. And now we do training. We also do pet photography. Our partners do. Lisa Benz with Shelter Dog Photography, and Jim DeVinny with Four Paws dog training. So it's exceeded our expectations in the first couple of years here in the building.
Okay, so you've been here almost 2 years, and you were like 15 when at that time when you were moving over here.
I would have been, let's see, I'm 18 now, so we've had Allie's for 9 years. It's probably been since I was about 15 to 16 that we were looking like really hard for a building.
And we contemplated a facility out in Independence, the old Kroger complex. She actually did the presentation before the city council on what the goals were, what we're doing. A lot of people, especially when she was young, when I tell them that she was very involved in the business, would always be a little skeptical, like how involved can a 14-year-old be? But she's been in planning meetings since she's been 13, 14 years old, has a real clear idea of what she expects and wants from the business, and has had for years. It is unusual, so we get that, but
Yes.
she doesn't shy away from the planning side and the actual projecting. Here's what we're going to do as a business.
Yeah, I went to Dixie to judge like other students like business ideas, and it was really like in like 2 different ways. It was kind of like there's not enough people pushing students to like actually pursue these things, and there's also like the students are kind of like, well, it's just like a dumb idea, you know, and like I don't think that, you know, just like in society in general is like pushing teenagers to what they could really get. Like the only reason I was able to do this because I had people supporting me, and that's all you need. So I don't know, it was just really humbling to see that, like people that want those like business ideas, and then I was like able to actually pursue it. So
That's awesome. Now you're 18.
yeah, I just
and
turned
you
18
have this
like 2
big,
years
huge
ago.
facility.
Yeah.
So I know you said you have dog training, you have dog grooming here, and how large again did you say this was?
12,000 square feet.
12,000 square feet.
Yep.
Now, I know y'all have a little bit of a different thing here too. You don't keep them in their little tiny crates or cages all day. So
No.
how do you handle that?
So they get to go out and group play. So we have off-leash care here. And with daycare and boarding, their schedules are the same. So every first-time guest comes for an evaluation. That's depending on whether they're wanting to come for daycare or boarding. It's different with the hours, but the dogs go right into the schedule. We try them with 2 or 3 dogs that we know how they interact with other dogs, and we see how they react to them. If they're confident, we put them in the yard with the other dogs of their size and temperament. And from that, they start making their friends, and it's almost exactly like child daycare. Like we are constantly entertaining them, and just they're making friends the entire time, and they remember where they are when they pull in. You know, we get people that just let their dogs off the leash if they run right up to the door and
Right.
they're wagging their tail to get in.
We have, that's probably our favorite comment is I get off the Buttermilk Pike exit and my dog starts whining because he knows or she knows where we're going.
Getting excited
Yep.
to come.
Yep.
That's so neat.
And they remember the kind of their pack. The boarding dogs not as much because they're not here as often, but the daycare dogs, I mean, if you remember from Cheers, when Norm would walk into the bar and everybody at the bar go, no, or not Norm, was it Norm? I forget the
Hi,
character's
Norm.
name.
Hi, Norm.
Norm, right?
Yeah.
Because he was a regular.
Right.
And you see that very similarly when a dog that's regularly here in daycare walks into the yard, the other dogs kind of perk up. It's like, hey, Hank's here. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, but they're out 70% of the day, so they get
Wow,
to
70%.
yeah,
Mhm.
70% of the day they're out in the yard with dogs of their size and temperament. So it's like camp too, honestly, for the boarding dogs. They're just, constantly doing something. So that's why we have nap times throughout the day. And then their feeding times, of course, are separated. And so it's everything that we provide. One thing we advertise is that everything that a dog needs is in the price, and then you can get extras. Like we have bacon flavored bubble time and like peanut butter Kongs, that kind of stuff.
Bacon flavored
Yeah.
bubble time.
Yeah.
All right.
The dogs love it.
Everything's better with bacon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But it's the dogs are like kids here. So we
Well-
have a handler in every yard. They're
Mhm.
constantly taking care of them. So
And we have like big dogs. Many times we'll refer to them as body slammers because they're the big labs and big golden doodles and labradoodles that just want to play and wrestle. Now we might only have 6 or 8 of them with one handler, but if the dogs are smaller, they're 15 pounds, we might have up to 20 dogs together. But they're all supervised by trained staff. Our staff goes through about 25 hours of classroom training on both dog body language and group play. So you can watch how the pack is interacting and know if you need to come over and kind of what's called a walkthrough and just kind of break up the tension. You don't have to really get too involved. We try as best we can not to use our voice. It's kind of like parents with kids. I mean, if you're constantly yelling at your kids or talking to your kids, they begin to tune you out. And the same thing is true with dogs. So we try to use more hand signals and more body movement than we do our actual voice. New handlers always use their voice more. The more experienced handlers, they always use their body more.
So they almost have to take dog psychology.
Yes, in a lot of ways,
order-
yes.
Yeah, in order to help here.
Yes. It is a very scheduled curriculum that they go through, and then when they actually go out in the
And here's one of them.
when they go out in the yard, they are with seasoned handlers that will take them through, okay, now that you've learned this in the classroom, this is what it looks like in real life.
Right.
Oh, neat. Now, I know as I came in, you were saying that you even, Allie, are taking more classes, like a 6-hour class on how to bathe a dog
Yes.
properly.
yeah, I'm constantly learning. There's always especially with the kind of service we're in, there's always something to learn about the dogs because this is so new. 10 years ago, daycare for dogs was just stupid. Nobody would pay the amount of money people are paying now to have their dog go and play with other dogs. But now it's just a completely different parent. The dog parents that we get, you just wouldn't have seen that 10 years ago. And so it's up to us to start learning how we can better our service and what ways we have to be so creative with the things that we come up with because it's not something that's being repeated from
Right.
history. It's we're coming up with these brand new ideas like daycare for dogs that we have to show why they're needed because it really is so good for dogs.
And one particular story that I think is funny is a couple about our age, and she brought her dog because the dog was stealing tools. They were having some work done around the house, and he'd pick up tools and take them out in the yard or take them to other parts of the house, and the workers are trying to find their tools and get their work done. So she said, well, I'll just take the dog to doggy daycare. Well, her husband was like, what are you talking about, doggy daycare? And he was really not happy that she was going to spend money on doggy daycare. And so he was here that week. He did great. And I would say it was 2 weeks later, the husband brings the dog in. And he looks at me and he goes, totally different dog when he's here first. Totally different dog. And since then, Roman's been a regular daycare dog because he's just such a much better dog to get his energy out.
Right.
Like we are. I mean, we're
Yeah.
typically better people if we're well exercised and well engaged.
Well socialized. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like if a kid was literally just constantly in your home, and then it gets out, that's what people get so confused why when they take their dog to the dog park once a month, why it's acting the way it is. It's just like a child, you have to get it out, and let it play with other kids and see like that not all kids are bad, or you don't have to be so crazy around them, but it's just really important, and I think people are really starting to realize that now.
Yeah.
Well, how awesome that 18, you have your own really large business already.
Yes.
So, what is your next step? Are you going to be going to college?
Yeah, so I'm actually going to be taking a gap year this upcoming year. I really kind of wanted to focus on the business because just 5 or 6 months ago, I was working at Chipotle. I worked at Chipotle for a year because I wanted to kind of pull away from Allie's, because this is all I had ever known, really. And I wanted to see how another business that started like in the same kind of way, just like what's his name, the owner of Chipotle?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
I forget
don't know
right
off the top
now.
of his
But
head.
when he started, he was just like kind of saying like he didn't expect it to grow as much as it did, and that's literally how Allie started too. So I thought it was really interesting, because now we really do want obviously not as big as Chipotle, because there's not really a
I'm
way
okay
to,
with that.
I mean, there's not really a way to make a doggy daycare as big as Chipotle, but like the way he's grown it it's really inspiring. So like being in that environment and seeing what he does to make that happen I learned a lot from that. So that kind of just showed me that there's still a lot more to learn at Allie. So I'm just gonna work here full time for this upcoming year, and then from there I'll probably decide whether or not I'll go to school for business and minor in entrepreneurial studies. I was hoping to go to UC, so we'll see. It's really all depending on where Allie's goes, how fast it grows, and
Right.
yeah.
Like I said, still plenty to learn in some way, but
Yeah.
that's great that you went to another business
Yeah.
to try to get tips
Yep.
on them.
Yeah.
So I know you're very busy here, so is there anything outside of dogs, maybe some hobbies or activities that you like to do as a family, or Allie, on your own?
Yeah, I've just recently, I actually have a film camera, so I love getting out. Cincinnati's like one of my favorite cities. I love being in the city, so I've really just love like adventuring and finding different places to eat, different like artsy little coffee shops, just different stuff like that. It's really fun to me, and just recently, like just going for drives, like with my little brother. He loves coming with me, but like finding like different places to go and explore, like even if it's just out in the middle of nowhere, just like to see the sunset or something. It's been really fun. But yeah.
Well, for the first couple of years, it was all hands on deck.
Yeah.
The whole time as we're getting into the building, and you don't realize how much you're not aware of and don't know until you're trying to operate in 12,000 square feet. And so that's been an adjustment. But Mary and I just went down to the lake this past weekend, and so that was great. So we can get away. In fact, the first time we've ever been away from the business, the entire family, was last Christmas or Thanksgiving. I forget.
Thanksgiving,
I think it was Thanksgiving. And all 5 of us left and went down to see her family in Atlanta. And the crew we have is amazing. It just overwhelms us with gratitude toward God for bringing people like that to us. And we enjoy, like Allie, we like finding the new, cool, fun spots to eat in the area. In fact, we have a yappy hour coming up Monday the 26th. Actually, I guess by the time this airs, that'll have passed. But so we try to partner with local businesses where it makes sense, to where we can build community with our Allie's family, extended family, our clients, and then support local businesses too.
So yappy hours where you bring your dog,
Mhm.
you can have the drink, and
Yes.
dogs are allowed that
Yeah.
night.
Right.
Yes.
So we just moved from different, I don't know what you would really call it, just restaurants, I guess, with patios.
Yeah, like
So,
Fort Mitchell Public House
Yeah.
last month. And so
Fire this month.
Fire this month. We're looking to partner with local businesses, and what we do is we ask them, what's your slowest night? And we'd like to bring some of our clients here to have a yappy hour, because there's really not a place for dog people to hang out and enjoy each other.
Right.
And so we try to do that in the nice 7, 8, 9 months of the year, where dog people can get together and enjoy themselves and enjoy the dogs. And So it's a lot of fun.
All right, well, so what is some of your favorite things about Northern Kentucky?
I love the rolling hills. I love the seasons. Call me crazy, but I love the fall, I love the spring, and I love the winter. Summer, not so much.
No, wait, you're from Atlanta.
Uh-huh.
Atlanta was worse.
Yes, that's why I'm still here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just so much that Northern Kentucky has to offer. Like, I mean, besides the fact that this is just like all around like a really good place just for a family to really get into the community and everything. But I mean, I think there's just so many growing businesses and business opportunities, and I mean that I've always like wanted to travel and everything, and I've just recently been able to do that, obviously, because Allie's just is now getting out of the house. But I think there's not like any culture like there is here, so everyone's really sweet and all of it.
And I know you think it's a good family place because that's why you came back
I
to
do.
raise your family here.
But as soon as you cross the river, there seems to be just a different vibe in Northern Kentucky. I love Cincinnati. Don't get me wrong. I enjoy Cincinnati a great deal. But there's just a different, little more laid-back vibe in Northern Kentucky. People will still wave at you
Yeah.
driving down the street, or many will, not everybody. And so I enjoy that part of it. And for the region, the whole region, I mean, just the food, restaurants, the craft beer. I mean, just some of the things, you can get them in bigger cities, but you can't get up close and personal with the people that run the shops and run the stores the way you can in Northern Kentucky. That's probably one of my favorite things.
Well, thank y'all very much for being a part of People in Northern Kentucky this
Well,
week.
thanks for having us.
Thank you.
It was our pleasure.
Thank you for joining us today. Every Thursday at 10 a.m., get to know your neighbor by catching a new edition of People of Northern Kentucky.